Welcome back to Next Level Rides. In today's episode, we're again back with Ozzy and Taylor. See if I can pick his nose. Nope, maybe not. So we're gonna start working on Ozzy's N55. So stay tuned and we're gonna get started. If you watched the previous episode, you saw that we ended up pulling the engine on Ozzy's E90 335 with the infamous N55. You probably saw that one of the injector tips was snapped off in cylinder 6, so we had to pull the engine to pull the head and to start a teardown. That being said, we're going to get started at it and see how much of a headache it's going to be. Okay, let me know what you need.
Tools, brain cells.
What do you need? You're going to rip off turbo stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that thing is no joke.
I'm trying to go slow.
Okay, would you like some WD-40?
It's already sprayed in WD-40.
Okay. All right. So for those of you that feel like you want to undertake or take on something this relatively massive, take pictures. Save yourself a lot of aggravation after and guesswork.
All right, second round of WD-40. You gonna behave a little bit more? Or?
Oh. Nope.
Oh, it just hurts your brain.
Oh.
Look, it's literally smoking the rust.
Holy f. The bolt is smoking.
Look at here, it's all smoking too.
Yeah, steel into aluminum. Smart. So the AC lines, I want out of my way because I don't want to accidentally bend one.
So I'd probably just pull off the compressor.
Yeah, because these AC lines are E-chassis specific. So I'll pull this out of here. Yeah, this will go out of here. So we drained all the coolant, so the head should be empty. So I'm gonna do...
Should.
It's okay.
Ah! Wasn't empty.
You know, every time I find a pair of f***ing gloves, you get coolant on the back of my f***ing hand, Taylor. You little sh**. How old is this belt? Man, you...
Tristan places, like, I would say 5 years?
Jesus.
4 or 5 years? Is it like that?
No, it's crazy to see because it looks fine.
Yeah.
Like the belt's fine. Change it for 20 bucks,
Yeah.
but the belt's okay. Yeah. Still, put this in the...
In the bin?
Yep. Now let's check the pulleys. Ooh! That was a mistake. Oh, that one's bad.
That one's
okay.
toast.
This one's okay. This one's gone. This one's okay. Tensioner's fine. Yep, we could clean up the tensioner,
Nice.
reuse it. This one's not great. See how this one stops right away?
These two.
Yeah, so this one's not very good. Done.
Well, what is this one? What was it?
It's just idler.
Idler, okay.
Yeah, and you have an aluminum, you already have the aluminum power steering pulley. So now, we're gonna pull a condenser off. And when the condenser comes off, the AC lines will come out. We're going to be taking off a lot of pieces from the engine. One, because I don't want it in my way, I don't want hoses flopping around. And two, when you're taking on such a big project, you want to ensure that everything gets touched at one point. After we ended up taking off the belt tensioner, we were able to check all of the idlers. Was this completely necessary? No, maybe not. But it just makes sense to be able to check it all since we're putting so much time and effort into the engine that we want it all to be done properly, or as good as it can be. Removing the AC condenser, we don't need to end up cracking 2 of the O-rings, which could induce a leak, and in turn we don't need to replace them. When we go to flip the motor over to do the rod bearings, it's going to be less stuff that's going to be in our way, including the power steering pump. Now the power steering pump is bolted directly to the oil pan, so the less stuff in the way the better. One thing to keep in mind when you're dealing with an engine that has 200 plus kilometers or 200,000 plus kilometers is that there's going to be a lot of built up corrosion, grit, and grime all over the engine. Now Ozzy's vehicle and engine itself is no exclusion. Of course, he ran without the engine cover for so long, so everything is covered in a nice layer of grit and corrosion. The coolant pipe is no different. It's going to be a pain to get out, but eventually you just need to crack the seal and pull it out straight.
There you go. Starting to come more. There you go. Go, Tony, go!
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking like water pump thermostat. Should probably take that off as well.
I'm just gonna strip it to a bare motor.
Pretty well.
Yeah.
For the water pump and stuff, we can probably leave. Like if we don't have to take it off, don't take it off. Right? We'll clean it, but unless we're changing it, we'll take it off because we're doing a oil pump reseal. So I need everything off the front for when we do the timing, right? If I have to take the chain out, I get to take this vacuum cap off. Gotcha. The vacuum pump. Oil filter housing we'll take off. We have to take it off. Yeah. Next, Mickey Mouse flange. Okay, let's see what Mickey Mouse flange looks like. What's your guesses?
Starting to crumble, but I think it's actually held up decently. Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Aussie. Look. Yeah, Mickey Mouse flange. You can see how it's all chewed up and broken. And if you play here.
That's all gold.
That's bad. Taylor's going to continue by removing the turbo off the cylinder head. Of course, while we're removing it, it's a perfect time to upgrade. So Ozzy's going to take the cylinder head. He's going to either try and sell it, throw it a bin, get rid of it. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But eventually he's going to be upgrading to a larger turbo, and he believes it's going to be a pure 750. Hopefully they have one for a pneumatic wastegate, but we're going to find out in the long run. All right, now that we got the turbo off, or Taylor got the turbo off, cylinder 1, good. 2, tiny little bit starting. 3 has a little bit of rust. That's a little bit weird. A little bit of rust on the valve. Weird. Yeah, that is weird. It could just be condensation. 5 just starting to sweat a little bit. Yeah, in both. The tiniest little bit. 6. That's not bad. Okay, here, let's look at inside. It's not bad.
All repeated? Yeah.
All right, now that Taylor, I don't know if I can call him flashlight kid because now he's turning wrenches. He got the turbo off. We're gonna, at some point, clean this and whatnot. The oil pan with the front diff is gonna have to come out, so we'll flip it over when we get to that point to pull the oil pan off. Now we're gonna go to the other side. We're gonna get the intake manifold off. We're gonna take a look at the valves to see how carboned up they are or how carboned up they are not, because Ozzy was running methanol. So lots, I think it was a fair bit of methanol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so between running 100% methanol, 50-50, they got steam cleaned pretty good. So when they were initially cleaned, they should be squeaky clean.
I'm sure that side is cleaner.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ozzy's sure it's cleaner. So this side should be okay. Of course, the anti-Canadian freeze heater is on. Yay, Canada. Yeah, until it lights your gloves on fire. Okay, we're gonna start on the other side and see where we get. First and foremost, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull all this off. So these go up to, oh hell, what is this? All right, so it has, the N55 has this harness box in the front here with a ground. So we'll have to remember that the ground is there. Now, kids at home, make sure you put the bolts back into the block. That way you're not gonna lose them and you're not gonna question which one goes where. Tighten them in loose. Okay. This one you have to pick from the back. Man, this pick, if somebody ever breaks this pick or loses it, I will fight them. Yeah, that's it. We're fist fighting. Okay. So the harness, we can look to see if we can tuck it underneath after. So this is your PCV. So we don't want to break that one. This one usually goes through here and underneath, so we'll pull that one out after. Yeah, so you can see here, evap. Yeah, evap. But you can see how now it's all starting to come around, right?
Almost
There's another ground. Okay, that's your ignition. I keep forgetting those manifold bolts are 11.
11? It looks like 10.
Yeah, right. It looks like 10. Okay. Those are over torqued. These are supposed to be like 8 Newton meter. Ooh, this one doesn't feel good. We'll have to check. I think that one might have stripped or it pulled the whole bolt out.
There we go.
Whew. Okay, so this should be bolt. A little bit tough to get out. Evap. That's it.
This is off.
Looking at Ozzy's valves, now he's had methanol for some time now. So you can see there's a bit of buildup on the valves. Yeah, never been walnut blasted. This is the worst one. So the actual tips of the valves are clean, and this is the most buildup that he has in the motor. So there's a little bit of buildup, but the methanol actually kept the tips of the valve quite good. So you're not gonna have any misfires from there being a little bit of carbon or buildup between the valve and the cylinder head or the valve seat. And this is probably what kept his motor pretty healthy for the longest time. So the plan of attack for this one here is, because we need to take the cylinder head off, we're gonna spray maybe a little bit of seafoam or something. We're gonna scrub it up to get it a little bit loose. When we go to take the cylinder head and put it into essentially a big parts washer, they're gonna steam clean the valves. So if we at least break it up, they'll come out relatively clean. And if there's anything remaining afterwards, we'll just walnut blast them, or we'll go in with a bit of brake clean and a brass brush. It'll be fine. We're not gonna take the majority of this harness off. So you can see where my gloves are. This harness can stay. We don't need to do anything with the block. The general consensus is that we're gonna be refreshing the cylinder head for the most part. The valve seals aren't leaking, which is nice and kind of ironic. I'm the only one that ends up having leaky valve seals in their motor. So no point going through all the work of fully stripping this down if we're not needing to do much. We're gonna bundle it up. We're going to rip the oil pan and diff off when the time comes to do rod bearings. And of course we'll plastic gauge, and I'll show you how to do all that. Goal for today is tear it down. We'll get it to TDC without the flywheel being on there. So TDC, we'll put the timing kit in so that we can confirm that the valves are not going to interfere when we go to pull the cylinder head off. Pull the chain to the side, pull the Vanos gears off. There's still a bit to do, but we're slowly chipping away at it. So good times. Because Ozzy's a genius and for whatever reason decided not to keep any of the engine covers on, now we're going to have to fight with removing the spark plugs. I've already done this once, and I kind of told him at some point that you need to put an engine cover on, but of course he didn't listen to me, and rather I stress and almost pull threads on his cylinder head. This second time round was no different. Of course, a lot of them were filled with grit, grime, corrosion, to the point where cylinder 2, we couldn't even get the spark plug tool onto the actual spark plug itself. I swear the next time I ever see spark plugs this bad, I'm just gonna push it out the door and not deal with it. This was actually that bad, and of course it was quite frustrating. At some points it felt like you were pulling threads. Other points, lefty loosey got lefty tighty, and then you have to tighten them back in, but then it gets loose and tight. It wasn't worth my sanity. So kids and people of the internet, make sure you keep your stupid engine covers on. They're stupid and there for a reason. Don't be like Ozzy and don't give me more headaches, or at least don't give yourself any. After pulling the plugs, we moved to the front of the engine where the cam timing sensors are. Of course, somebody ended up deciding it was funny to strip one of the bolts, and in turn I had to pull out the Dremel and cut the head of the bolt off. We'll deal with this when the head's on the bench and after it comes back from the machine shop. We're going to end up drilling and tapping it so that another bolt can be used. It's not the end of the world, it's more of a nuisance than anything. It's a lot easier with the engine on a stand as opposed to in the engine bay. Next, I'm going to pull out my timing tool set. We need them to hold the cam gears in place when I go to take off the bolts that hold the phasers or the Vanos actuators to the camshafts themselves. If you try to remove it without using the timing tool set, the phasers will start to advance and you could smack valves into the heads of the pistons. The last time I used this tool set was on an N54, so I used the black upper portion, but of course this being a 55, I ended up having to use the gold one. This way it actually bolts into the holes where the valve cover actually bolts to the cylinder head.
Alright, so you try and get them TDC. That should be very close. And then you try to slide these in. See how it's getting, actually that's pretty good. So now this one should slide in. So that's at TDC. So what would normally happen is you would pin the flywheel. So you don't turn it by hand, you pin the flywheel. And then you'll know it's at TDC. This is how you time it. So these holes go in the pins. That's how you time my motor.
Snug as a bug in a rug. Wow.
It was good practice to use the red timing block. Of course, this ends up holding the gears for the Vanos actuators in place. You don't necessarily need to be using it when you go to tear down an engine, but you will need to use it when you go to reassemble. I end up removing it just so I can get access to the 2 front bolts on the upper timing chain guide. After you remove these 2 bolts, you're going to wiggle it out of the timing chain guide closest to the driver's side so that when you're ready to pull the cylinder head, it doesn't bind up and cause any issues. The last thing you want to do is break one of these, and then you need to deal with the harmonic balancer, or at least the hub in behind it. That would be a nightmare, and of course I took the extra time to be a little bit more careful to make sure I didn't end up breaking anything. Once the actuators are out of the way and the timing guides are where you want them, you can start by cracking the cylinder head bolts and preparing to remove the cylinder head itself.
All right, let's see if we can wiggle it off. You have to lift yours up a little bit.
Want to go with you at the same time?
Yeah.
We got it.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, so here's your head gasket. Now all you need to do with this one, you spray it with copper and you can reuse it.
Serious? No. Yeah, come on.
That's what they did back in the day.
N55, dude.
Pistons look okay. Here, I'll get a light. So let's get a little bit up close and personal. So there's nothing crazy on here. You can still see the factory cross etching. There's, for obvious reasons, a lot of carbon buildup. So we're gonna clean these up before we put the head back on. But when we go through each one, like you can see just the slightest little bit of wear right up top there, but it's consistent through all the cylinders. So you can't catch anything with your nail, which is good, but typically right up top here is just where the side of the piston would be, so the ring doesn't scrape all the way up there. You'll always see a bit of a line there, but if I scrubbed right here, this will come out. Now the fun begins. Thoughts, Ozzy?
I'm excited, man. It'll be a fun project.
Yep, it's gonna be interesting. So
It'll be nice. When it's all nice and clean, you know, it'll be.
I think you'll be happy when it's all back and running properly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we'll slide this out of the way. If you want to just hold it, yeah, just move the block of wood and just just roll it so you can see like these valves are open a little bit just based on where the cams were. But because these ones were open, the piston was down on those. It's looking pretty okay. Like everything looks okay. You can see where the injector's stuck in there, so we'll try and give it a bit of a tap.
These are kind of like sweat marks?
What, this?
No, these.
No, it's just carbon. Okay. Yeah, no matter what, it's just a little bit carbon.
It's looking better than I expected, for sure.
Yeah, it looks okay. Ideally, if you're rebuilding the head, you would relap the valves and clean it all up, but I would just put it in the jiggle washer. And yeah. You never had an issue before, so I don't see you having an issue. And we'll have to get these out. Oh, now they're all sliding straight out of the head. Let's see how stuck in there it is. Oh.
The tip of the injector on cylinder 6 looked like it was a little bit wedged. Hopefully the port isn't ovaled on the cylinder head, but I had a hell of a time trying to get it out. The last thing I want to do is hit it with a hammer and have the bit slip and make a dent in the cylinder head itself. So I didn't bother. We're going to be taking it to the machine shop, and of course they have a press, so they'll be able to press out the piece of the injector that's left in the head itself. We're going to move on to doing a bit of a leak test on the cylinder head, just because the compression test wasn't all that great the last time I had done it. So we're going to spray the valves down with soapy water and blow some air on the back of the valves just to see if anyone are leaking from around the valve seat.
Okay, so one thing that we're gonna just show you really quick, we're gonna soak cylinder 4. This is just soapy water, so it's not the end of the world. If we put compressed air to the back of it, you can see some bubbles. A little bit. Go to the bottom one. Now, those valves are meant to be closed, and the only ones that are open currently are on cylinder 5. So we have a little bit of a leak on the exhaust valves of cylinder 4. So ideally what you'd want to do is fully disassemble the head to lap the valve seat so that it doesn't leak anymore. Well, that's all for today. Cylinder head looks like it's ready to go to the morgue. N55, well, we know where that's going. So we're gonna have to decide what we're gonna do with the head. One of the valves, like you saw, is a little bit leaky. The others are kind of okay. If you put enough pressure behind the valve, you can see a few tiny little bubbles, which I guess probably really isn't the end of the world. Ideally, you want to take the cylinder head apart. You want to fully disassemble the rockers. Well, you want to take the rockers out. You want to take the hydraulic lifters out. You want to take the spring, the keepers out, and lap the valves. We'll see if he wants to do that. It's going to be a lot more work, but it might be worth it. It has 230,000 kilometers, so it was bound to have some sort of a bit of wear and bit of issue. We'll see. This is going to sit here all sad for the meantime until we figure out what we want to do, but that's all for today. So, as always, feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye, N54. I'll put you in this at some point. Maybe. Maybe. Stupid. Look at everything's wet.
God damn it.
You know, when he wasn't here, I cleaned everything nice. I had no headache. I was in Zen. Now I just want to smash him in the face.
That didn't take long, eh?
Meeting tailored.
There.
T25 maybe. Is it T25 there?
We'll manifest good. We're gonna manifest good feelings with the N55. No, f off. N55 sitting in front of the N54 in front of the N54. It's the trifecta. It's the Illuminati.
Bruh.
Right there. This poor pick. I literally just said, if this pick ever gets broken or lost, I would whoop somebody's ass, and look at what I treat it.
Give yourself an ass whooping?
Okay, stop.
Yeah, that's you, Tony. Have fun.
Great.
Don't mess up or you're gonna have to pull the head off.
Shut up. I swear to God, Ozzy, there's gonna be like a 45% surcharge if you don't put an engine cover on. All the covers, Ozzy.
Oh, yeah.
All of them. I don't like playing the Russian roulette with your cylinder head.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm spraying flammable liquids and the fire turns on.
That's okay.
This is how we live.
Sweet.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get some vice grips. They're on the bench. I like how I say vice grips and you get a Dorito.
No! Here's a cookie.
Eat the cookies.
N54 design is different, right? Just
Better.
Are those exposed? No.
Better.
By the way.
Better.
Better.